Let's be honest here. Some lifts you should brag about, others not so much. We're going to talk about 6 weird lifts that literally mean you are strong AF. Beep. I didn't say it. So, let's start by saying there are definitely
no leg press on you.
There are definitely lifts that I think elicit respect when you're strong at them. And then there's other lifts like, oh, cool, you can standing calf raise the whole stack. Yeah. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah. Oh, cool, Smith machine anything.
Yeah, really doesn't make
sense.
Nobody.
Everybody knows the bench, squat, deadlift, right?
Overhead press.
Which are all, well, those are like the main powerlifting.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
right.
where, and they compete, which is why, aside from that they have incredible value and we talk about that, but I love this topic because these are ones that people wouldn't assume.
Yep.
That I think we agree have tremendous value and should be focused on getting strong.
Yes.
And if
you don't see it in the gym.
No, most of these are super rare to see in the gym.
Yep.
Yet getting strong in them have incredible overall benefits. It should be a focus.
I would add, if I saw somebody doing any one of these lifts with good weight and control, I would consider that person just strong.
Yeah.
Like just overall strong. Like,
right.
You know that person has incredible, just overall impressive strength. And again, Adam, you pick the common ones. Like you see someone deadlifting and squatting a lot, maybe overhead pressing a lot or benching a lot. Like you know that person's strong more than if they were using a machine to do something, right?
Right.
These lifts that we put down here, like if you get good at these, you're just a strong human being. Mm-hmm. And it means a lot for your entire body. In fact, what you'll see is carryover into other lifts by getting good at these lifts. And they're weird because nobody does them, although I think people should do them. And they are very challenging to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it takes a lot of stability and mobility to even get into the position for a lot of these movements. And it takes you outside of that condition. I work at a desk job. Everything is kind of fixed. And so to move outside of that takes a lot of actual work just to get into that.
Yeah. And a lot of these are really old time movements that at one time they were a popular thing, or they were something that people would do to show impressive strength.
Back when a strong looking physique really was, what was important about it was it meant you were strong. It wasn't just about you look a particular way. Like back in the day, strength athletes, strong men, strong women, like the fact that they looked strong was a side effect. Like what could you actually do? In fact, some of the most impressive strong men were people who were like small or didn't look strong, like the mighty Adam, like some of the feats of strength that he did. Yeah. It was impressive because he would get these much bigger dudes on stage, even attempt what he could do, and they just simply couldn't. So we'll start with the first one. This is an old-timey exercise, but man, you're good at this. Like you just have incredible spine stability and strength in your core, your obliques, your arm, your shoulder. Mm-hmm. You're just a strong human being. That's the one-arm bent press. Yeah. This was one of the primary ways that strongmen used to compete with each other. Is how much could you lift with one arm above your head? And the bent press was the technique that they used because they found this to be the best technique to lift the most weight. This was Eugene Sandow at one point was able to do close to 300 pounds with this lift at a body weight of 185 pounds. By the way, this is before, forget steroids, this is before supplements. This is before creatine. This is before protein powders.
One of the most uncomfortable lifts, too.
Yes.
And just to be able to bend in that direction and place load properly. It's such a technical lift to be able to pull off. But once you actually work into these positions, you find that distribution of force is so advantageous for lifting even more weight. So anything overhead to be able to actually bend in that position and use gravity and really lock out as you're distributing that force down throughout your entire torso and connect it to the hip. It's pretty cool.
Now, communicating this to what comes to mind for you guys, I know what comes to mind for me is like clients that when I think of like weakness somewhere or common injuries, and the ability to do this lift and to do it well and be strong in it. how does this help the average person? I want to communicate to them. Like, think about the stuff that you used to hear a lot.
Back pain and shoulder pain.
Yes.
You need
QL stuff. I think. Right away, I think of QL stuff.
Strong QL, strong obliques.
How often did you hear of QL injuries or issues with clients?
Especially deadlifters, yeah.
And I remember hearing that so often. It's like, and if you get good at this, it's like bulletproofing your low back, I feel like.
The quadratus lumborum is actually meant to be a very strong muscle. The problem is a lot of the back strengthening exercises use the QL in a stabilization sense, but not really directly loading it. It's like a deadlift, my QL is supporting the sides of my spine.
Right.
But in the bent press, like my QL has to hold on to my spine to prevent me from folding in half sideways.
Yes.
And then the shoulder mobility with this. Like, this is a crazy range of motion with the shoulder. You get strong in the bent press, you'll develop bulletproof shoulders and cannonball shoulders.
Yes.
One of the body parts that the old-time strongmen would develop very well was their delts. If you go back and look at pictures of these guys, again, they weren't doing laterals and rear laterals, and they weren't even training for round delts, but it was just a side effect. Yeah. They had bodybuilder-like delts because of this particular
Most everything was vertical. They weren't doing a lot of horizontal pressing. And so
bench press didn't exist.
No, to be able to get the weight from the ground up over your head was like the ultimate goal.
That's right. And back to the point with like the clients, like, you know, bulletproofing your shoulders. You think of I think of common areas that clients would injure is low back and shoulders.
Yep.
And so a movement that, you know, really strengthens and supports that, right? You get that strong stability and range of motion in the shoulder for the bent press. You get that with the low back and QL stuff. Like, man, for the trainers that are listening, if this is a movement that you've never really practiced or become proficient in, the value of you learning this and then you teaching your average person who may not think that this is a movement from, such a great movement for them to get stronger.
Totally. Next up is the snatch grip deadlift. So this Olympic lifters will do this. They will do this because a lot of their lifts start in this position. And so literally it's a deadlift, but with a wide snatch grip.
Really wide grip.
And you're getting low. You're getting low into a squat in order to deadlift this. And so talk about range of motion. This, I never trained this until I followed MAP Strong. This is in MAP Strong. And it had a huge carryover to my traditional deadlift because it started me in a lower position. And that wide grip, boy, the trap activation from this is just...
Trap activation, lats getting there. Like, it really does, like, put pressure, even more so on your back and getting that low squat position. It's a totally different lift.
I also think that, again, I'm going to try and tie this back to, you know, why the average person gets just tremendous value from it. When I think about, you know, deadlifting an object, I mean, I just went through moving my house. And I thought about I actually thought about snatch grip deadlifts as I was doing things, because you don't always grab things in the perfect deadlift position. You know, a lot of times
usually you don't.
You don't, right? You're usually deeper. You're grabbing something larger, trying to move something, and so, you know, putting yourself in, of course, the ability to do a standard deadlift, lots of value, but also be able to grab and get in a deeper position, grabbing at a wider. The carryover and being strong in that position just has so much value in your everyday movements in life.
Next up, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we could have also replaced it with like a rounded grip.
Yeah.
Rounded back lifting.
Rounded back lifting, but it's same kind of a value.
Yep. Next is the pistol squat. It's a one-legged squat. Now, what's required to do a pistol squat, besides being strong, because it's a one-legged squat, is great ankle mobility. Because the knee does have to travel forward. You have to be able to sit up nice and upright. And the other leg needs to be able to sit out straight in front of you as you squat down. This is a martial arts squat. A lot of martial artists will practice this and get good at this. And a pistol squat's just difficult to do. But when you get good at these and you can add, like, if I see someone doing a pistol squat holding something heavy, I mean, that's, to me, one of the most impressive.
It's impressive. They can do this with their body weight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is impressive if you can do this on each side equally, because that's another thing too, is that you will typically find a major discrepancy between left and right on people. Somebody will be able to do this movement maybe on one side, but then not the other. And so training yourself to be able to do both sides equally, just incredible strength and stability and mobility, great hip strength and stability, great ankle and hip or ankle strength and mobility, just an overall incredible movement. And you can really develop, if all you did, let's pretend you didn't have weights, at all or access to them, getting strong in a pistol squat will develop.
This is the best hypertrophy lower body exercise body weight.
Yeah.
It's a crazy display of control of your body.
Totally. Today's program giveaway is MAPS Power Lift. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video. First 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale. MAPS 15 Performance and the RGB bundle, half off. If you want one of those, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code MAY50 for the discount. Back to the show. Next up, one of my favorite exercises. In fact, I used to do this a lot when I was doing judo and jiu-jitsu, is a one-arm clean and press. Sometimes you'll call it a circus press, especially the top part.
I love this exercise.
You know, doing a clean it's a great exercise. Barbell cleans require a lot more skill than a dumbbell clean. And so what's the value of that? Well, the value is you don't have to spend as much time learning the technique. You can get into it quicker and get the explosive power benefits faster, which is why I like it so much.
This again, real life stuff. It's so funny as we're going through these. I didn't really think about this until we started going. I'm like right away, I'm like able to draw to like, I've been moving so much stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this was when I did that. Like there was a point where I built these really heavy outdoor chairs that have like all the mechanism to spin and move. So they have all the metal, really heavy, like for what they are. And I had to carry them all the way across to the other side of my backyard. And so I had to rip them up off the ground, flip them up, and then bounce them on my head. And I just thought like, this is totally like a clean and press up over my head. And then the ability to do that with good strength and stability. Again, it seems like a silly exercise or unique in the gym, but when you think about how you're going to have to, like, nothing looks like a perfect barbell or dumbbell. Like that's not a movement. Like there's no other movement that's closer to that in the gym that I've done than like a circus press of doing that. Right.
It's the closest to like resembling hard labor.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're like farmers, this is why, you know, it gets highlighted all the time, how like farmer strength, they're picking up really heavy, like odd shaped objects, but they have to get it off the ground and put it up into the truck or put it up into the barn. And, you know, and all that requires like this crazy strength and communication with the body to pull off.
Yeah, this is a one-arm clean and press will give you explosive power in both the posterior chain and in the shoulder, which for athletic purposes is super valuable.
And great core stability around something like this. I think that's the like kind of unintended consequence from being able to be good at this, because if you can pull a decent amount of weight off the ground, clean it up to your shoulder and press over your head on one side and not the other, the core stability and core strength to get, and again, emulating real life. When you're out there trying to carry something or do something in real life, rarely ever you're going to have the two even amounts of weight distribute on each side and be able to do it. It's like you're normally grabbing.
We're never super balanced.
Never. And so so good to train this. Again, speaking to the trainers, if you haven't become proficient at this to teach your clients, tremendous value to getting good at this and teaching them this.
Next up is the Turkish get up. Now this was an old school exercise that Turkish wrestlers used to do. That then became popular with MMA fighters for a reason. Being able to be laying down, take something, extend your arm, and stand up with it all the way up. Like obviously a grappler is going to benefit from having that kind of strength because you're grappling on the ground and maybe you need to stand up or move while there's weight on your body. There isn't a muscle that isn't involved in a proper Turkish get up. It requires whole body strength, but most importantly, whole body stability, isometric tension and stability is super involved in this. Like you get really, if I see a guy doing this with just a 50-pound dumbbell, let alone 100, I've seen people do it with more than that. It's impressive, regardless of what they look like. It's like, man, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, and it's just like it requires such incredible focus, and I think that the value of it too, which is overlooked a lot, when we do lifts in exercise, it's only a few seconds at most, right? To pull off that exercise and to stay tight and really under control. But this exaggerates that. Totally. So you really have to stay under tension and stress and pure focus and communication with your body to pull this off, which is why I love it so much.
I mean, this is, of all the ones we're talking about, this is my favorite because I think this is the one that if you just did this and got really strong at this, you take care of a lot of stuff. You got to think about this all the way down to your ankles, to your hip, to your low back and core area, to your chest, to your shoulders, to your forearm. I mean, every part of your body is like you said, and it's slowed down and exaggerated, like you said. And so you have to like break this all the way, like slowly and mechanically down and get proficient at it. And you're going to be strong in all those areas. And so if you just,
all the angles matter.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before on the podcast as a trainer, a great, like a thing to have you never lose, right? As a client, I used to tell my advanced age clients, like, we always want to be able to get up off the ground. And so a good thing to practice is just the ability to get up off the ground with no hands. And that's just your body weight. This is how you progress that, right? So it's like, okay, you can get up off the ground. Well, how do you get proficient at that? The Turkish get up is the greatest example of getting proficient at getting up off the ground and everything that it requires, and then getting strong in that area. I think it's the most well-rounded movement of all the movements we talk about, and would love seeing more people doing it. You just don't see it that often in the gym.
Now, last is what I believe to be one of the greatest examples of just overall core strength. Yeah. And I first saw dragon flags done on old Bruce Lee movie. Yeah, and I don't remember which one it was. It might have been Enter the Dragon, but he was demonstrating this. And as a kid, I was like, whoa, look at that. And then I saw it again in Rocky IV. And of course, Bruce Lee did it, Rocky did it. I'm going to get good at these. And when I did these and I got good at them, my core became so strong I felt bulletproof. My abs became blocks, and I felt like I could do anything with my core. Like every other core exercise was easy in comparison to this. Like you're able to do 6 good slow reps of this, like you're really strong. So this is like one of my favorite core exercises.
I mean, your core is the most important muscle in your body besides your heart, and it's the foundation to all movements. And if there's a breakdown there's going to be a breakdown down anywhere else down the kinetic chain. And so getting strong and like a dragonfly just lays such a solid foundation for all other movements and pursuits from that. And so it is such a great exercise to get really good at. Probably one of the harder ones of everything we did to learn. I'd say. When I look at the list, I'm like, that's probably the toughest to get really.
It's one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, because it's not just core. You have to stay super tense all the way to your toes. I mean, your entire legs have to be tense and on fire, and be able to control that and rein that in. And so, yeah, it requires so much strength. It's awesome.
Oh, it's huge. All right, so I found a study on, just to change gears here, on the effects of one bad night of sleep. You guys want to hear it?
Oh, yeah.
One bad, just to show you how important, I don't want everybody to freak out.
Crap me out.
Yeah, I don't want everybody to freak out, but, because everybody has it one night, everybody has that bad night of sleep. It's not a big deal in that sense. But I think this is good because it kind of highlights the effects of sleep on the body and how important it is. And so you can add this up. Like, what if this happens on a regular basis? Like, what is that going to look like? So I'm going to pull it up here, but it's pretty remarkable just how, here it is, just how much it affects the body. So one night of total sleep deprivation. Okay, so they took somebody with and had them give them a real bad night of sleep. There was a reduction in muscle protein synthesis by almost 20%. Ooh. And cortisol went up 21%. Ooh. That was one night of bad sleep. One night of bad sleep. just from doing that. Oh, by the way, testosterone dropped by 24% in that same study.
We had a caller recently. It was a really good call and good question. And a fitness lady, she'd been working out in pretty good shape, but trying to get to the next level. And, we were talking about, and sleep was her big Achilles heel. And then she was also asking questions around macros and protein intake and the strength protocol that she's running. And I thought it was a really good question for us to talk about because we haven't really had a lot of people where we I think expanded on this. Of course, we talk about the importance of sleep, but sleep is so important that you have somebody who's asking a question about body fat loss and macros and strength training and all those things. And my advice around it is derived from the result of the night of sleep than it is what's the best macros, what's the best meal, I don't care until we solve. That's how powerful sleep is.
So in other words, your diet, your exercise, everything at that point should be geared towards getting better sleep.
Right.
That's going to give you the best results.
That was what I was trying to communicate to her was that I don't care. I mean, I know you hear us talk about this is how many grams of protein you should have for optimal building muscle, but that's not the lens that we're looking through when we're trying to give better sleep. In fact, what it looks like is try this meal that you eat, and then tell me how you feel. And it's like, oh, that really helped. I got some of the best sleep. Okay, let's move in that direction. Regardless if it's 50 grams of protein, 20 grams of protein, exactly. I don't care about that. I care more about that meal or those combination of foods resulted in a better night's sleep. And then the same thing goes for your strength training protocol. Yes, these may be the best movements to build muscle, and this is some of the best programming right here. But I notice when you scale back here or do this type of a workout, you get better sleep. Let's move in that direction.
In other words, what's going to be better for muscle building may be static stretching because that might put you to sleep and not strength training.
Right, and that's hard for people
in parasympathetic state.
It's hard for people to wrap their brain around that because we highlight diet and exercise so much, and it's obviously important, but that's how important sleep is and how detrimental it can be if everything else is all aligned, but that's out of whack. You're just spinning your wheels. Mm-hmm. And so getting that aligned and yet having maybe a less perfect diet and routine, but great sleep many times will result in better results.
So just so people understand what a big deal it is, every animal that we know of, definitely every mammal, has to sleep. And if you believe in evolution, you would by now there would have been we would have evolved out of it because you're asleep. You're not productive. You're not collecting resources.
You're vulnerable.
You're super vulnerable, and yet you have to do it. That's how important it is. You absolutely have to do it. In fact, I don't remember what the data was, but it was something like a few nights of total sleep deprivation, so no sleep, increases your risk of psychosis. Quadruples it. Like half the people who get no sleep for something like 5 days will experience psychosis.
Yeah.
So it'll make you go crazy. In other words, you'll go crazy before you cannot drink water for that long and not die. But that long of not sleeping, you may actually kill yourself.
Yeah, and to your earlier example with the lady that called in, it's like anything she does that's normally a good habit to include, exercising, nutrition, like if it's not centered around kind of bringing her into that parasympathetic, it's a negative result.
That's right.
It turns into this like exacerbating the problem, which is you wouldn't even think about that because this is a good thing to highlight. And this is something I'm pursuing is, establishing good fitness habits. And I'm like still at least maintaining this. But if I'm not actually getting good sleep, it's just like it doesn't have the result it normally would.
So, and to give an example of what you're saying, it's like this. Her body needs, say 130 grams of protein for optimal building muscle. And that's what we figured out her macros, let's just say for argument's sake. But we have found if she cuts out her eating by 6 p.m., it dramatically improves her nights of rest because when she eats later, her digestive system's still going, keeps her up at night, and it ruins some of her sleep. And it's 6 o'clock at night, and she's under protein by 50 grams. She's way under her protein intake. I don't care.
It's like you're still better.
And she's going, should I take a protein shake? Because I could get a protein shake down tonight. No.
Interrupt your sleep?
No. It's past 6 o'clock. We've already learned that keeping you eating your last meal by 6 or earlier has profound benefits on your sleep. Mm-hmm. I know I tell you that you need to eat 130 grams and you're only at 70 today. Mm-hmm. So we're under eating protein today. I still don't want you to have that shake at 7 o'clock at night just to hit your protein take. That's an example of where the sleep takes the precedent over what the science says about macros and building muscle. And so getting that point across, I think more people need to understand that that's how valuable sleep is towards their results because we tend to focus on all the other things so much. Meanwhile, it's like, oh yeah, it's just, I don't get good sleep. It's just it's always been that way. And it's like, yeah, well, your results would probably significantly improve if you cared as much about that as you do all the other things.
Speaking of sleep, there's some studies that have been done on creatine. So creatine, and I've talked about these, right, where sleep deprivation, some of the effects can be really negated by just taking creatine.
Oh, that's right. It has protective qualities.
Well, not just protective. Right? Here's what's trippy. So for the longest time, what did you understand about creatine? For you to start seeing results, you got to take it for how long typically? Like a week or 2 weeks? Okay. The studies are showing a single high dose of creatine, you'll get effects. Just one dose. In fact, in this particular study, one dose of creatine improved memory, processing speed, and stabilizing brain pH levels during sleep deprivation. So peak effects were at 4 hours and lasted up to 9 hours, even improving processing speed beyond non-sleep conditions. In other words, They took people who were sleep deprived, gave them 1 dose of creatine. 4 hours later, they actually performed better at certain mental tasks than even people who weren't sleep deprived. So this is a great. Now, I don't think this is a long-term, solution. But if you got like this meeting or a test or whatever, and you had a bad night of sleep, take a few doses of creatine, time them so it's roughly 4 hours before what you're going to do, and you'll get a boost in brain function from doing that.
That's actually really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, super cool.
That's really cool.
Anyway, so we have somebody who's going to call in who went to Rock Recovery Center. So Rock Recovery Center is a rehab facility we're partners with. We love the guys that run it, Tom and Ben. We love their approach. We trust them. And so what we've done is we've talked about them, and they offer scholarships to listeners. People can go on their website and apply for, rehab or whatever. And Mark, who's about to come on, was one of the first people to respond. They took Mark in. He is now, I believe, almost 9 months sober from alcohol. And this is like a check-in where, let's talk to him and see what's going on. How's it going, man?
Good. Doing really good.
You look good, dude.
Yeah, good to see you, dude.
You look good, bro.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So, all right, give us an update. How long are we in on this? What's the journey been like, my friend?
So tomorrow is actually going to be 8 months.
Wow. Dude.
God, I can't believe how fast that flew.
Yeah, it really did. Sobriety date was September 1st. Is September 1st. Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow's the 8-month mark.
That's great. And so you started back then. You heard about them through us, right, on the show, and that's what got you in there.
Yep. I've been. I started listening to Mind Pump in 2017, I believe, and I was pretty consistent. I actually started with the very first episode that was available on Spotify, and eventually caught up to you guys. I wasn't listening as much at the time, but I was at work and I just needed something to throw on, and that was. I picked a random episode, and it was when you had Ben and Tom on.
That's awesome.
Mark, how long did it take for you to really start noticing like a change in how you felt, how you were thinking, and like what were some of those early changes when you first went in?
Oh, so that was consistently, almost daily early on. I felt better and better every day. Wow. I mean, it was bad physically. I mean, I couldn't even really eat early on. It was bad because it hurt. I was poisoning myself every single day. It got to the point where my body was rejecting stuff that it needed. So early on, that was the big stuff, being able to eat normal again. Just the difference of being hydrated again was a huge difference. And then like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that kind of stuff, that happened over a course of months. I mean, honestly, I don't think that's done yet. I feel like I'm still hitting milestones, just as far as how I feel in all those other aspects. Physically, I'm doing great right now, but yeah, I'm regularly noticing that there's differences, and it's good. I feel good.
That's so awesome.
What was the final straw? What was it that made you make the decision finally to go because we know you chose Rock Recovery because you heard about them through us, but what was it that made you go like, I need to get some help?
I had a moment of clarity. I really looked at my situation and the direction I was going, and it occurred to me that that was going to be it. I was either going to end up quitting on my own, I was going to end up in prison, or I was going to end up in the ground. And those were the only finish lines I could see. And it was scary. That was a really, really scary realization to have. And even then, that wasn't enough. I mean, I listened to the episode that you had where you had Ben and Tom on probably 4 or 5 times. I emailed Rock Recovery and heard back from them. I was offered the slot here, and even then, it took my family. It took 4 or 5 really close friends of mine to give me the push I needed to commit to it, even after that realization, because it's a big step. It's a scary thing. It requires humility to get to the point where you can openly admit that you need help and that you can't handle your situation anymore.
Is there a way, if somebody's watching right now, let's say there's somebody that was like you, they're struggling with addiction. If for somebody on the outside, when they look in, they see somebody who's, destroying their life, destroying their body, they're in this crazy cycle, and yet they don't want to leave it because they're scared. What is that? What is that fear? What is it that holds you in, that makes it so scary to leave that situation, even though on the outside it looks like the obvious thing is to stop? What do you think it is that holds you in that?
Honestly, the biggest thing was I felt like I had dug the hole too deep. I've something that I've heard a lot since I've been here is if you find that you've dug yourself into a hole, the first thing you need to do is stop digging. And I felt like I kind of had stopped digging to some degree, but I really felt like it was just too deep and that I wasn't going to get out of it. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have on my own. But I wasn't sure if I could get there even with the help. It was, and then on top of that, the humility of having to say, I need help with this. I cannot do this on my own. There's a lot of pride involved. There's ego involved. It requires a lot. It's a big step just to get to that point where you can accept the help.
Sure. Looking back at the 8 months and all the things that you've had to do, I know there's a step process you go through. I know there's been support from Ben and them over there. Have there been certain things for you that, like, looking back, you go like, man, that thank God I had that, or that's been, pivotal to, making it all the way through this? Are there certain things that you can look back at and say like, yeah, that I didn't realize how much that would help me?
Oh, absolutely. So they mentioned when they were on the podcast that they do take the health and fitness side of things here pretty seriously. And I was looking forward to that because it is something that I've been involved with to a pretty deep degree in different times in my life. I did not realize how much that would play a role in how I felt while I was here. It's therapeutic. There's no other word for it. I physically felt better. I felt stronger. Hitting milestones on like my squat that I haven't hit in a couple of years. It was motivating. It felt good. It affected how I felt about myself. I really underestimated how much that would play a role in how I felt.
Yeah, I'd say one of the different things that they do there versus other places is that they understand fitness on a different level, and it's a big part of what they do in the rehab process. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They so there were like group workouts that you're able to do a couple of times. Well, I think 3 times a week we were able to do if you wanted to, and then you have access to the gym. You have a free membership. Or I had a free membership while I was here. So it's a lot of it is on you to take advantage of it, though. Like it's not handed to you. You are given all the tools that you need, and it's up to you to make the most of it. And honestly, the only real regret that I have from being here is I know I could have done better with some of that and taken advantage of some more resources that were given to me. But I mean, that's hindsight. But
there's also probably a really good reason for that, right? That they don't push it or force it on you. That you got to come to the realization to want to do it. And it's more of an invitation, which I think there's the psychology to that. I think is so important. It's like forcing somebody to do something, then eventually they're going to rebel and not want to do it. Versus, hey, here's these options for you. Hopefully, you take advantage of them, and if you do, you do, and if you don't, you don't. And it's great to see. Yeah. It's great to see, bro. How you literally look.
Yeah, you look great.
You look like you got 10 years younger. Your skin looks good. You're like you.
Great
can tell.
job, man.
Yeah, you look healthier. You look happier. You have a glow. I mean, it's pretty cool to watch. The transformation in the last 8-9 months, man. So cool.
And I will say, let me add this, dude. That one of the strategies of what, depending on what you believe, the enemy or your flesh or your psyche, is when you look back and you've done something great, is for it to say, you could have done more, you should have done better, to make you feel like crap again. And I'm going to tell you this right now, they're lies. Don't believe them. The truth is you're here, you did it, you're moving forward, you're doing a great thing. Keep going.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it has been like a lot of single steps, and there've been a couple of times where I've kind of turned around and looked at where I started and where I'm at, and I can't believe how it added up. Things are going really well. I've got myself under control. I've got my life is headed in a good direction. I landed a job doing something that I never probably would have gotten into if I didn't come down here, and I love what I do. I'm wrapping cars now.
Oh, yeah. Wow, dude.
Cool,
awesome.
Man.
Great job, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing this with us, dude. This is like so great to hear, man. I'm so glad to hear that you're where you're at, brother.
Yeah, I hope your story inspires somebody else that's listening right now.
Yeah, I do as well. And I wanted to put it out there too. If anybody's considering coming down here and they do have questions and they want to talk about it, I'm reachable. I put my email out there if they want, or if you guys want. It's Mark MARK dot Mahon MAHON 89 at Gmail. If anybody has questions, anybody wants to talk about any of this, I'm more than happy to do so. I was very skeptical coming into it, but I'm a huge supporter and proponent of doing this. It is easily the best decision I've made.
Great job, man.
Right on, Mark.
Dude.
Appreciate that, man.
brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we'll be in touch, man.
Take it easy.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Pretty
Looks
cool,
great.
right? I know. Way different.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Totally different
guy. I wanted to ask him what it was that prevented him from, because from the outside, it's really easy to look at someone and go, just stop. Can't you see, like, your health is deteriorating, you've destroyed your family, you've lost your job, whatever.
Yeah.
Why don't you just stop? It's obviously much better. So it's always like, why don't people just stop? And he was very honest. He's like, I felt like I'd already dug too big of a hole.
Yeah.
I was too far down.
He's in too deep. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people feel like that, where you've gotten so far that it's, I mean, I feel this way to bring it back to what we do with helping with people with health and fitness and losing weight. It's like I've got so far to go. Who cares? You have so far to go. And then when you actually kind of attempt making some good choices and the needle doesn't move, or even worse, sometimes goes the wrong way a little bit, like, man, that's so discouraging for somebody, and it gives you the effort, throw your hands up, like, why do this anymore? And so, my heart always goes out to somebody who's battling with things like with addiction. And to be honest, again, drawing it back to fitness, it's not much different than this addiction that we have with food.
Yes,
is very, very similar, and maybe even more insidious because we justify it that you need food. Right?
It's accepted.
Yeah, it's way more accepted and harder to see. Nobody's out there seeing you eat and going like, oh, you have a problem or an addiction. But clearly you do if you're carrying yourself 50, 60, 100 pounds overweight. Right. But sometimes the hole feels so deep that it's so hard to get out.
But I'm so glad to hear of his success. It's so nice to hear, man.
Yeah,
super
encouraging.
No, they're doing great work over there, man. They're doing really good work.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to improve your squat without injuries? Do you want to have a stronger squat? Do you want to have a deeper squat? We have a free How to Squat Like a Pro guide. It's totally free, and you can get it right now. In it, we describe details, exercises, techniques, and ways you can improve your squat so that you start to squat like a pro. You can get it for free right now if you click on the link in the description below. So there's this clip that's kind of going viral a little bit in our space with some of our friends, like coaches and trainers, and it's of a guy that is long annoyed us. We just haven't brought him up, but I think he's just terrible representation of the fitness space. It's Andy Elliott, and it's like a clip with his daughters. On stage,
disgusting,
and he's luckily, I'm happy. I'm glad to see he's getting ripped for it because what are you doing? He brings his daughters on stage, show everybody your six pack. She's 9, one is 9, one's 12, but he also just the way he's the same guy that would bring a dude up on stage and try to like motivate him by lift up your shirt, you're fat, type of deal. Yeah, like what are you doing?
Such a douchebag.
I know.
Listen, if you're a used car salesman, stick to selling cars, dude. It's like I can't. This is what I don't like is that the guys that blend their profession with fitness, thinking they know what they're talking about when it comes to fitness. Like you couldn't be further from the representation of health and fitness, yet you think you do. And the approach is all wrong. It's ironic that that's going viral right now because we just recently had a guest in the studio that was telling us about their experience with him and how he owes him all kinds of money and how he scammed him. And so it's like, we all had that. We'd seen his stuff going around, and like you said, we didn't comment. We didn't really comment on anything before. But it's like, I feel like we have the gut instinct always with people.
There's
like
a lot of stuff happening in our space that's kind of like this. Like I still get annoyed.
Like we're cleaning out the trash a little bit, doesn't it?
I hope, man. I hope so. Like there's somebody else, I just saw them today. I'm not going to say too much because people will put 2 and 2 together, but literally the video opens and he's got stacks of cash in front of him. And he's I'm going to teach you how to build a business as a trainer. And look at all this money. It's like, what are you doing, dude? What kind of people are you trying to attract?
It's the lowest common denominator.
Oh God, it's like it's so like. Plus, it's weird. It's like I don't know. I think most people look at that and go, "What are you doing?" That kind of insecure, like
I mean, it really works on the young teenage boy, But is that really the person who's investing in that? I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to work with someone.
It's this. There's this temptation to do that because of the attention, and we are in this attention economy, where the platforms pay you for attention.
Yeah.
You get the validation because of the attention. And so there's an allure to wanting to use tactics like that, And so I think a lot of people fall prey. The thing that I feel so blessed that there's always been 4 of us to kind of counter each other. I mean, all of us have had ideas at times, and collectively we've all sat down and gone, it's not really us, or that doesn't align with our core values. And even though you've talked recently about, we kind of stepped away for a while, and we reached out to somebody who was recommended to us, who did really, really well with the YouTube algorithm. And we thought, are we being naive by not learning more here and hiring a professional who can teach us to be better with the algorithm? And if it's rooted in our desire to help more people, can it be a good thing? And, we did that for like 6 months. And guess what? We did see more views. The irony was we made less money.
Because it was lower impact.
And that's exactly right. And it's like getting back to and so for the entrepreneurs or people that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs out there, I can't stress enough how important it is to go about building your business the right way. And if you lead with truly trying to help people and serve others, you will be rewarded for that.
Trust the purpose. Trust the purpose, and the results will follow. That's what I like to tell trainers and
slower,
coaches.
but it's just like we coach clients.
But it's real.
It's slower, okay? It takes a longer time to build.
But it's sustainable.
But it is sustainable.
And it's a career.
You won't be a flash in the pan.
That's right.
It's like this guy you bring up. Yeah. It's only a matter of time before he's gone.
Yeah,
he made his money. It's just like a lot of the MLM scam artist type people is like in this era, the swings are harder. So you do have this. They have an opportunity to fool a lot of people really fast, and they do things that go viral and get clickbait, right, like crazy. And so for a moment you think they're really successful and they're a good example of somebody who's having a lot of success financially, but it only lasts so long. Mm-hmm. It's only a matter of time before you start hearing stories like we're hearing behind the scenes of like, oh yeah, he fucked me over. Oh yeah, he fucked me over too.
The only people that last are honorable with integrity.
That's right.
And you see this a lot, like even like your Andrew Tates of the world, where they're badass. They're a tough guy. They're something that a lot of these like weaker guys look up to, and they want to aspire to something like that, but they don't have any honor.
Yep.
And so it's not going to last. And it's unfortunate because that's what gets all the attention and all of the glitz and the glamour. But at the same time, to aspire to be something more, to have true integrity and to have purpose, that requires the longer path, the longer road.
Do you guys think that it has a lot to do with just kind of the period of time that we're in right now? Like it's because these mediums that we communicate with and is so still new. When you think about Facebook and Instagram, maybe for somebody who's in their 20s or 30s, it feels like it's been around forever, because for them it has. But it really hasn't. It's not that. When you look back in our ability to communicate and to each other and reach each other, it really is not that that old. It hasn't been around for a long time. And so, you know, do you think 10, 20 years from now, we look back and we laugh at the time when, oh yeah, remember when people would do things like put stacks of money in front of them and to get your attention, to get people to buy stuff from you, and, you know, rent the fake private plane and rent the fancy car. And
Jordan, we asked
definitely
Jordan,
comical.
We asked Jordan Peterson something related to this about social media.
Oh, yeah,
the problem is not. The problem is that social media
doesn't reflect reality.
It doesn't, and what it does is it rewards the sociopathic narcissists because they're the ones that get the attention. In the real world, they get their ass kicked or they would get excommunicated. But on social media, they get a lot of attention.
What a good point to bring up. So your answer to me is that it probably won't change.
No.
Yeah,
it probably won't change.
No, here's what. Okay, I'll give you an example.
You're pressing like the animalistic human behavior button,
but
that keeps you there.
Here's what'll happen, right? For a second, the guy putting the stacks of money will work, but then everyone's gonna be like, "Wait a minute, that's fake." Looking authentic is real. So then the narcissist will go and pretend to be authentic, and they'll still play that game.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like you remember.
You're seeing that already, even with the example that you gave of that Andy Elliott clip. Is you have people that are virtue signaling that are calling it out. That are like, well, you're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I know. We see that.
You do similar things.
It's like, wait a second, you're kind of that same guy when you think about it, and you run in circles with the same type of people, and so you're
just trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah, but you're trying to jump on the bandwagon of calling it out right now. Yeah, no, I mean, I've been saying this for a while now to people. This fake authenticity, you know what I'm saying? You know, grab your camera, pretend like you're crying, or maybe you are crying, but you grab your camera.
Who the hell does that?
I've
never once thought to when I'm crying, like something actually makes me so sad that would make me cry. Wait, let me get my phone.
You just have a distorted view.
How does that happen?
At that point.
You know, if I was crying and one of you guys pulled out your phone to record me,
slap it out
that would be the end of our relationship.
That's why I mean I do like
you need friends.
I do like
You need good friends.
highlighting the people. And speaking of that, we just had our good buddy Jordan Syatt here. Such a great person, right? Like, we need more people like him, like Joe DeFranco, and there's a lot more that we've talked about before, but those two.
Bro,
recently.
how funny was it though when you had us all over? Hold on a second.
So embarrassed, dude. I'm so embarrassed.
You had us all over your house for a barbecue. And Jordan Syatt's Jewish, right? But you don't even think about this, right? And so you're making your
getting down on my baby back ribs,
you're
dog.
Making your butcher box ribs.
Yes, dude.
And you gave him to it. What he's like, is there pork in this?
It just
like, yeah, it's delicious.
So Doug and I had for the audience.
He had to wait forever for food.
Oh man, I wasn't there.
Everybody was eating ribs. Poor Jordan's eating salad over there.
So the audience knows Doug and I had originally planned to have this cook-off, and we had Jordan Syatt and Dr. Brink in town, and it was like, oh, this will be fun. We'll have it at my place. We'll
barbecue.
Doug and I will, Doug will get down with one of his recipes. I'll get down with mine. I do the butcher box baby ribs. I've got it down to a science, at least I think. And so, I'm like, oh, this would be good. Never once did it even cross my mind, like, oh, I wonder if Jordan eats pork. I should probably consider that. You know what I'm saying?
Did you offer it to him like twice?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm like, and I was like, come on, dude, get in. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were hot, ready.
Throw some bacon on it.
Yeah. And then when he asked, and I know he asked already knowing, it was more to let me know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, are those pork? And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're pork. Fuck. I said, hey, Doug's making some steak and chicken though over there, bro.
We have some ham sandwiches over here.
And liver over there. Oh, dude, I
got bologna.
Yeah, what a good sport though to not punk me over
bro,
it.
So that was only my second time having those because I never make ribs. I don't even know how to make them, but they're good, bro.
They are the best.
You said they're the best. They're the best.
Ribs. I have we've been with Butcher Box for a long time now. And there had been many times where I get on a kick and I'm cooking them and I've already ran out of them. So I got to go buy from Safeway or Costco. And I've bought all kinds of other brands. And I even got online and looked up some of the best, and had them shipped to me. And just, I don't know if it's the heritage pork or what it is about them, but no other
it's
baby
what
back.
Feed them.
It's
what they feed them.
It's so tasty. I mean, honestly, like Everett actually requested that for his birthday this year for the meal. He loves those ribs more than anything else.
I mean, Katrina and I sometimes we'll just eat that.
You made it for him in Truckee, I think, and then he was hooked.
Oh man,
they're so good.
Yeah, and they're easy. It's not. There's a little 3-step process I do that most people are familiar with, the 3-2-1 cooking ribs, and I season it real basic, and it they just turn out amazing.
I got to read to you guys a post in our forum that I saved where we had somebody post about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And And
about programming it?
Yes, dude. And I'm so glad they posted this because it gave me an opportunity to comment on what makes a trainer or a coach really effective. So the post is this. Over the past few months, I conducted an informal case study comparing 2 training programs. One designed by ChatGPT and the other was MAPS Performance. And so they prompted ChatGPT with like create a 3-month progressive training program, this, that, and the other. And so ChatGPT spit out the program, and she's like, let's see which client does better, who does better. So my comment under that was the following. I said, ChatGPT nor MAPS will ever outperform a good in-person trainer who can modify on the fly and consider all factors, including, this is most important, the psychology and personality of the client. And then I wanted to make this a point. People buy MAPS programs because they trust me, Adam, and Justin, not because they're the best in the world. They also happen to be good, but we don't sell them to someone until the consumer has built a relationship with us by listening to our podcast. And my point with that as a trainer is this. A trainer who's, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of knowledge and just in terms of just skill, right? Let's say on a 1 to 10, they're a 7, but they've earned 100% of the client's trust. Is going to be more effective than a trainer who's a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, who has
Every day of the
a
week.
5 on the scale of trust. So the trust factor and considering that, and also the psychology and the personality of a person is so much more important than anything else. And this is what makes a program effective. This is what makes a trainer effective. It isn't that they have the best skill, that's important, but it's that they know how to work with the client. The client trusts and follows them. That's what makes them
and all the day-to-day nuances that only the in-person trainer, right, or the person who's training the client can be able to modify to. Like, obviously, we write a program and then we give it to you, and if we don't talk to you day to day, now
we don't have that opportunity.
We thought a lot about this. I remember when we created these, and so a lot of that is thought out when we write exercises the way we do, and we lay out phases the way we do, and then also why the podcast exists. It was always thought, the idea of the podcast is to understand that even as great as our programs are, they're still incomplete without understanding all those nuances. Yeah. So the podcast is designed to fill those gaps so that somebody is listening every day. They're also following a program. They go, oh shit, that's where the guys are talking about I should probably scale back to 2 sets instead of 3 sets. Oh, this is when they mean I should probably do mobility day, even though it's technically a foundational day. Like, oh, okay, I get, like, because it's a moving
call audibles.
It's a moving target always. I've never trained a client where I wrote a program and we just followed it. Never, ever. In fact,
it's like a business plan.
Part of as I got
exactly.
As I got more advanced as a trainer, I stopped writing programs. It was like a waste of time. It was like, why am I going to write this whole thing out? Because I know that I'm going to end up audibling like in the next week. So it's like I have an idea of where we're going.
When we look at our consumers, and we've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of MAPS programs over the last 10 years, okay? The people that get the best results with our programs are the people that buy our programs and then continue to listen to the podcast.
They listen to the podcast.
Why? Because they have a good program. And our programs are good. And I'll put them up against any other program.
Yep.
They're well-written. They're well-programmed. Any strength coach, any fitness coach will tell you they're well-written programs. They always get good reviews. We know what we're doing. But it's the people that continue to listen to the podcast and allow us to essentially coach them indirectly. Yep. When they listen to the podcast as they follow our programs, they get the best results because they get insight and they know how to move and change things and skip a workout when it's important, and they know how to move through those roadblocks. Yeah. That's the combination. It's the Mind Pump podcast plus the MAPS programs. That's the winning formula there.
Yeah, the program itself just takes you to the place where you start to learn your body. And that whole process, it's going to take all that insight from your own feedback your body's giving you, but also too, like, knowing how to navigate through that takes coaching. And so we need to combine that together. So and we understand, like, coaching is another additional that's a big ask for people financially a lot of times to commit to that. And so for us to be able to put that out, the only way we put it out is to be able to reinforce that with us continuously educating and figuring out where's the sticking points, where are people falling, where are people confused, like how can we highlight this, how can we address this and help people through these obstacles.
And if you don't hear us talk about on the podcast, go to askmindpump.com, right? That's what I keep trying to tell everybody. Okay, I have to switch gears. Okay.
What?
I have a Jesus stat for you.
Stat?
Yeah, it's kind of
For me?
He told me this when you went to the bathroom, and I was like, oh, dude, this is crazy.
What is it?
Yeah, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. If you made $7,000 per hour every hour since Jesus walked the earth,
Oh.
Jeff Bezos is still richer than you.
Yeah. That's not really a Jesus stat.
I know. I knew I'd get your attention that way.
Cool. Isn't that crazy though?
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
And he can take you up into space for 10 minutes
never
and turn you
heard
into an
that
astronaut.
before.
That's how much money.
That is, I've heard. They used to do some really cool
And Elon
ones.
Musk has even more.
They used to do ones on Michael Jordan on how much money he's made. I remember like there was one stat.
Yeah,
I used to love it. If he dropped $100 bill out of his pocket, it would cost him more money to bend over and pick it up than to keep going.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was like a cool stat. But $7,000 an hour, okay, which none of us in here can even fathom what it's like to make $7,000 an hour. That's pretty crazy. Since freaking Jesus walked the earth, you still would not be as rich as he is. That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
When you think of that, it's like that level of wealth, you couldn't it would be I would have to hire somebody to spend my money in order to even feel that I'm spending my money.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
you know how much those yachts that they have, those $100 million
That's
yachts?
what they
just
they have to buy it to fill it. They have
to
they have to buy those just to feel that they're spending something.
Just to park them and keep them costs millions of dollars a year.
And it's only going to increase. I mean, they said that once like AI really is in full force, because if you're somebody that has the platform where it's actually going to thrive, we're going to have our first trillionaires.
What did you guys think of the conversation with Tom Bilyeu on AI? We had a big AI.
Yeah, it was interesting. You could definitely tell he's had a lot of people on his show talk to him about
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, he's obviously
we're heading for an existential crisis. That's what we're heading for.
Yeah,
we're heading
it's
for
the big gorilla in the room. People don't want to talk about it.
You're going to have everything you want.
It didn't make you feel. I mean, because he's way more into that stuff than we are, right? Yeah. Admittedly, right? It's not like none of us are. I mean, you guys are a little bit of sci-fi guys, but you're not like super AI nerds where you're like going down the rabbit hole like he is. He's interviewed some of the brightest, brilliant people in that space, and to hear him confirm a lot of what I feel like we've been communicating.
Yeah,
that we're heading towards a plugged and unplugged society, like that's down the road.
Totally.
Two, real quick here, you're going to have everything that you want.
Yep.
And we're going to be,
and they're going to be sad,
and we're going to be more sad than we've ever been. Which is, I think,
I do think people need to wrap their head around.
I do too. I think I keep saying that because I think you need to wrap your brain around that, because now what
are you going to do?
Yeah, I get if you're somebody who's struggling right now and you're fighting for paycheck to paycheck. I know it's like to feel like that. I know you're like, who gives a shit? Give me that problem.
Yep.
You think in your head. But let me tell you something right now. Like you think that, and then this happens, and it really is going to be very depressing for a lot of people that haven't found purpose in other things in their life than to try and fight to survive or to get by or to pay their bills. When that stuff all becomes solved, we won't be happier, which is, it's sad to think that.
Well, we were already showing that. I mean, we're more anxious and sad now, the data shows, and we have more stuff than we've ever had. What do you think is going to happen when we have even more stuff? You think it's going to get better?
Yeah.
It's not. We're not sad and anxious because we don't have enough stuff.
Yeah.
We're sad and anxious because we don't have purpose and meaning. So we've lost connection.
Speaking of stuff, I'm so glad to bring this up because I dropped Everett off with his friends, and they're hanging out, and I'm trying to kind of pull back a bit and have him like explore, kind of do things on his own. And so he was like downtown Scotts Valley, and give him a little bit of money to go buy stuff and do things. And he ended up going to the dollar store, and we go to pick him up, and we see like him and his buddies are all kind of walking around town, and what they buy at the dollar store, it's like, okay, can you imagine what it looks like? Let's say like Lake Havasu or like New Orleans, or like what they're carrying in terms of like a drink.
Oh yeah, the long
skinny, like it was all like
margarita
America
thing.
He's got American glasses on. He's got like a little hat, and like they literally look like they're on spring break. And they're just like drinking water out of this thing. And everybody's like honking, and they're like, woo. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a foreshadowing for me of him being in college.
Yes, it is.
And he's freaking 12.
Around the corner, Dad.
I was dying, dude. He's still drinking. He brings it to the dinner table, and it's his favorite cup now.
Oh, God.
And it's literally
long ass margarita
it just
cup
looks, it looks like, you went down to Cabo or something.
We've all done that.
Yeah,
We've all had a drink out of that stupid cup.
That's great.
Yeah.
Listen to Brain FM and induce different states of mind. It's backed by science and it really works. In fact, you can try them out for 30 days. See for yourself. If you want a more focused brain, listen to Focus. If you want to sleep, listen to Sleep. Give it 5 to 10 minutes. Watch what happens. Again, free 30-day trial. Go to brain.fm/mind pump. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
First question is from Big World, Small Kiwi. How can I work on getting deeper into the squat position?
Yeah,
Wow,
the name's got me laughing.
Too many innuendos up.
I mean, we have to find out first of all what the limiting factor is. This is
Usually
big motivation for MAPS Prime to do a full assessment. More often than not, or at least in my experience, the most common thing right here is ankle mobility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Almost always somebody that can't get into a really deep position. They think it's normally their hips or their back, but it's normally that's because you start to compensate in the hips and the low back and or the knees, but it's because the ankles don't have the mobility to have the knees travel forward. And so then you feel it other places. And so a lot of times the average client connects it like, oh, I have knee issues, that's why I can't squat deeper. Oh, my hips feel tight when I go that low. And it's like, but those are all compensating because you lack the ankle mobility.
Yeah, totally. Like you focus on improving ankle mobility through movements like the, what's the one that you like to do, Adam? The
combat stretch.
Combat stretch. Do that one on a regular basis. And also practice on getting into a low squat throughout the day. So hold on to something if you need to, or place your back up against the couch, or hold on to some straps or like some TRX or suspension trainer straps. Get into a deep squat position and then try to sit there, not relax, but rather maintaining stability, and try to practice this throughout the day. That's the fastest way that I've seen to get into a low squat. Then when you train and when you're exercising with the squat, lighten the load substantially, like half, and then go a couple inches deeper. That's it, just a couple inches deeper, and practice on getting stronger in that deeper position. You can also pause at the bottom of a squat with weight on your back. With lighter weight, that tends to help as well.
Yeah, and just to add to the ankle mobility and to reinforce that a little bit further, like really pay attention to your pressure points. So, and I know Brink's pointed this out a couple times with me, and also Dr. Jordan Junta's pointed this out to me a lot too. The big toe is a big part of this whole equation in terms of stability around the ankle. And so to be able to articulate your toes and work on that, and also like maintain those pressure points between, the big toe and the pinky toe, and just, reinforce that and regain that sort of ground force strength is going to help tremendously. And then, yeah, of course, all the other kind of steps apply in terms of gradually bringing that depth and treating it like it's an entirely new exercise.
Next question is from Jen Garner. As a trainer, are you still learning something new every day? If so, what?
Yeah, well, you better be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're training people, you're learning something all the time. This is my favorite part of personal training.
I'm assuming this is directed to us, though.
Yeah. So,
but yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Now we're not training clients anymore.
But regardless of that, I still would say yes. I mean, we just recorded a podcast. Sal brings a study damn near every time. 90% of the time, I haven't heard of the study.
Yep.
So I'm learning there. Justin just got back from having another expert trainer work on him for his shoulder. I'm sure he picked up and learned some stuff.
Yep.
I'm always deep in what we're doing on the business side for the trainers and how to help them scale their business. So even though they did not translate into biomechanics and nutrition, it's also helping trainers be better trainers. Like, I mean, we're that's one of the things that attracted all of us together is that pursuit of growth. Mm-hmm. We all have different things that we might have specialties in or things that we're into, but the thing that we have in common and why we get along so well is because each guy is always constantly growing and learning every day in some aspect that serves the overall business and mission.
Well, yeah, and we're all trying to teach constantly on the show.
Learning too.
And so
you have to learn.
So you have to learn, and you have to find a new way to relate and have that really resonate. And so we talk about what seems like the same exact topics all the time, but there's always something, some other angle, some other way we can present it that may be more effective and efficient. We're seeking that out constantly.
That's such a great point, Justin. I'll give a direct answer, or example of something like that just played out. So we just had all these trainers come in to our studio. We've had Prime and Prime Pro forever. If you've been listening to the show for long enough, you've probably heard me shame hundreds of trainers that if they don't have it and why you should have it. Something came to all of us teaching Prime and Prime Pro or Prime this past weekend, and that was, boy, we really need to hold a certification course on it, because as much as we thought we simplified it to make it as easy and applicable to the average trainer or person to use, we realize in this seminar setting, as we are having someone like Dr. Brink and ourselves teach these trainers, how lost still some of them are. And boy, we even though we've communicated this a million times, like, we got to go even deeper on this. And so we're going to put
value going deeper.
We're going to put together a certification course for the coaches and trainers. We're going to teach them even more in depth on a subject that I thought we've covered a bunch of times. Like, that's I learned that this last weekend. I assume that we did such a good job with that everybody was using it so well. And it's like, oh wow, this enlightened me on we could be better about how we communicate this and teach others. And so we too are learning how to be better communicators around something that I thought we've communicated really well. So the learning never stops here.
And really, really good, effective, successful trainers tend to have a thirst for growth and learning. So I think this is like, as a trainer, you love people, you love fitness, and you love learning. And that's a great combination for success.
Next question is from A. Waters. How do you transition to a healthy relationship with food after counting macros and being regimented for such a long time?
I mean, in one word, slowly. But really what this looks like is you're so focused on macros and calories that what you need to do is move out of that and focus on other things in regards to the food. So bring yourself off slowly, and you can do this with like 2 days or 3 days off of no counting. And look out for the binge, right? Look out for the reins are off, I can go as crazy as I want. But just kind of come off of it and then pay attention to all the other attributes and values that the food brings you. How does this make my energy feel? How does this affect my exercise performance? How's this helping my digestion? Eat very presently, so be present with your food and start connecting the dots with all the things that the food does for you, aside from losing body fat or building muscle, but connect it to all those other things and make this a slow process of transition, because it can be difficult to break these chains. And when you start to do this, you will find yourself being a little scared. You also may find yourself going off the rails a little bit, because what kept you in the rails were the macros. So it can be a back and forth process as you break free from this control, because that's what this is really. It's this control relationship with food.
A couple things. One, we have an intuitive eating guide that we wrote specifically to help people through this process. Two, this really does depend on where this person currently is with their relationship with this. If I have somebody who is highly addicted to weighing, measuring, and their food and tracking like they never miss type of deal, and telling them to cut cold turkey and go into intuitive eating is really tough. And so what it might look like to that person is like, hey, let's just track protein, but we're not going to worry about the other calories for a little bit, or let's do it, a couple days of the week, but let's let go on one day, and so. It looks different for every person depending on how much you're addicted to this, and this is back to what makes good trainers and coaches is the ability to read where this person is at and meeting them where they're at, and knowing that the ultimate goal is to get away from tracking, measuring, doing all those things. But if this person has wrapped their entire identity around that for so long, it's really tough to cut cold turkey, because any sort of shift in a direction they don't like is going to freak them out and send them back the other direction. And so you really got to meet people where they're currently at. No different than when we're helping somebody with weight loss or any other goal. Of not throwing too much on their plate at once.
One good step strategy is to experiment with different kinds of diets, so you still have a little bit of the sense of control, but now you're paying attention to how it feels to go with no carbs for a while, and how does it feel to eat paleo for a little while, or how does it feel to go an elimination diet for a little while. And what you're trying to do is connect the dots with how you feel, mental performance and sleep and mood, and really start to learn how to really value food for its entirety, not just for macros and not just for calories.
Next question is from Scaper Girl. What are some tips on coming back from being sick? I've been out with double sinus and ear infections since April 17th. No lifting, no almost anything for 12 days, lost 5 pounds and feeling weak. What do I do? Same workout, lower weights, lower reps, etc.
Yeah, you'll gain back everything you lost very quickly, with almost no effort. So in other words, you can go to the gym
very slowly. You
can go to the gym and go through the motions, just kind of feel everything, and you're probably going to need to do that for a little, maybe a week or less, maybe like 3-4 days, and listen to your body. The first real workout's going to get you pretty sore. That's normal after you take 12 days off. But if you lost 5 pounds of muscle, it'll come back very quickly. It could come back in a few days, actually, and I'm not exaggerating. But do it slowly. One of the mistakes people make after sickness is they go too hard, too fast.
Always.
And cause problems.
Always. I think the mistake that we all make is this. I mean, I've been doing this. I've been doing this for so long, and every time this happens, and I tend to do this a lot, where I'm in and out and on kicks. I'm on a hardcore kick for a while, then I'm off for a while. I do this all the time. And every time I come back, I almost always overreach. I almost always, and I even have the conversation with myself. I don't have to do very much. I haven't done anything for a couple of weeks now or a month, just a little bit, and yet I still tend to overreach. And so, you whatever you're thinking, do less. And that might sound crazy, but you don't. If you haven't been doing anything for a couple of weeks now, and you're coming off of being sick and just recovering, it's not going to take much to stimulate that. So a MAPS 15 type of protocol is probably, and MAPS 15 protocol and light is probably what I would recommend. So do 1 or 2 exercises, go significantly lighter than what you would. And I'd probably do that for a week, maybe 2, and then you'll probably be back to where you were.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. Stop doing 3 sets of 12 to build muscle and do this instead. You guys want to guess?
Stop doing the 3 sets of 12 and do this instead. With that intro, my guess is you're going to tell people to change the rep range
5 by 5.
5 by 5 or low rep range.
Do you guys remember when
you're going?
Yeah. So oftentimes we get stuck in like a set count and a rep count, or a range that's